This is a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.
Good evening and welcome to the Brighton Central School District Board of Education meeting for December 3rd, 2019. To begin this evening, I want to read a statement. Dr. McGowan regrets not being able to be here this evening. He was invited to testify at the State Senate's public hearing before the Education and Budget and Revenue Committees regarding foundation aid and the funding for education formula in New York City today. While his preference certainly would have been to be here with us tonight, given the significant priority of our fight for the appropriate state aid due to us, we did need him to be at that hearing in New York today. So that being said, he did ask me on behalf of the district to begin tonight's meeting by recognizing an important situation that most are aware of, I believe, through a moment of silence and a few words for our community. So please join us now in briefly pausing in memory of fourth grader Mila Rawaswana and her nanny, Elmira Kamalevna Hall, who perished in a tragic car accident last Wednesday that also left Mila's young brother Evan with very significant injuries sustained, and he remains hospitalized at the medical center, at the UR Medical Center. So we'll pause briefly now, please, in their memory. Thank you. And, while we do not have words to describe our sympathy for all of the families affected by this horrible tragedy, we mourn the loss of life and fondly remember a bright, happy, engaging, adorable student known by your friends to be kind, sweet, and good to all. We are so sorry and will continue to hold Mila and her family close to our hearts. We are keeping our staff in our hearts as well. They have been profound in their expressions of sympathy and in demonstrating an ethic of care that will continue for the long term as they care for all of our students and for Mila's family. Thank you to our school and town community, including Supervisor Maley and our town leaders, for their incredible support, and especially to everyone on our staff, our teachers, our mental health professionals and administrators, along with those who have helped from neighboring districts and the community for their commitment to our children and wrapping them in the warm embrace of those who care and will take care of them. We also offer our profound thanks and appreciation to all of our first responders involved, the Brighton Police and Fire Departments, our ambulance and EMT personnel, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, and all of those at the UR Medical Center involved in assisting in this tragedy. We also would like to offer our special thanks and gratitude to the many neighbors in the immediate area of Edgewood Avenue where the accident occurred, who rushed out to try and help and offer comfort to those affected. Finally, we remind everyone that all of our families can continue to reach out to their child's teacher, counselor, or administrator if there is anything at all we can do to support our students and their families. As Dr. McGowan said earlier this week, this effort is not time-bound. We are all here for the very long term, so thank you. So it is obviously with heavy heart that we do move on with the business of the district and continue our meeting this evening. We do have a short agenda, but there are a couple of items that we do need to take care of. We do offer the opportunity, as always, for public participation. Anyone may address the board during this period of time. We ask that you raise your hand. I will recognize you and ask you to step to the podium. Please give us your name and address. We ask that your remarks be brief. You're welcome to ask a question, make a statement, and if you have any written material that you would like to leave behind, we ask that you leave it with our district clerk, Mrs. Lazafame, and she will make sure that we have it. So, anyone who would like to speak to us this evening? Who would like to go first? Your choice. You in the middle. You were first, I think. I'm sorry. Are you two together? Okay, thank you. All together. All right. Well, let's all come up together then. Thank you. And please do give us your names and addresses if you wouldn't mind.
Okay. Hello, my name is Beata Gamilakaviccio. My address is 308 Aberdeen Street, Rochester, New York.
My name is Karen Hale. My address is 105 Stover Road, Rochester, New York.
I'm Mark McDade. I live at 182 Edgewood Ave in Rochester, here in Brighton.
Thank you very much.
And first, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing us to speak. I know this is a really difficult time for everyone, and we really appreciate your time and your attention. So we are here because we want to inform the local school boards of some new bills that are going to be voted on by our New York legislators that will impact parental rights, that will impact medical freedom, and our children's ability to go to school. One of these bills would require the HPV vaccine for almost all students to attend school, boys and girls. One would require children to have the flu shot every single year. And there are two other bills that would allow vaccination without parental consent. So, for example, a nurse could give a shot to a child without the parent knowing, without the parent's permission. Just so you know, the HPV is not a communicable disease. The vaccine itself is 3 shots, and HPV is sexually transmitted, and it has been known, the vaccine has been known to cause some very severe side effects, including death. It actually has been banned from use in several countries at this point. The flu vaccine, on the other hand, is also not particularly effective, often has very low effective rates. This year, the CDC states that the effectiveness of the flu vaccine is under 10%. While some parents may choose for their children to have this vaccine, and that is their decision, and they should be, that decision should be left up to the parent and the pediatrician to make up their mind what's right for their individual children. There's no reason these immunizations should be a prerequisite for school. We believe that parents, not the government, should be making health decisions for their kids. So what we're doing is we're concerned parents, and we are petitioning local legislators to vote no on these bills and to support parental choice and medical freedom. We know parents in the Brighton district would oppose these bills, and it's imperative that they know that these bills are coming to the floor and will be voted on in January. So we have some literature here that we'll leave with you that are outlining these bills. We've also included a number of sample letters that other districts from New York State have written in opposition of these bills. We're asking you to inform your district, to inform Brighton residents, and write a letter opposing these mandates. And again, we thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate having the opportunity to come in and speak today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your attendance this evening. We'll certainly will take your information under advisement and may take it up further. The one comment I would make, and you stated it in your remarks, we are aware of actually multiple bills in the
Yes.
Senate and the Assembly. The indications that we have had is that there is a long road ahead for those bills in both houses, and there are multiple versions of some of it, especially the one regarding flu vaccine. And you are absolutely correct. It is a matter for members of the Assembly and the Senate, and contacting those individuals would be the most direct path at this point in time.
Yes.
So,
And I just wanted to also mention, before I forget, Assemblyman DiPietro is coming to Rochester to speak about these bills
I see.
on Thursday. So I've included a flyer with information about where he will be and
Okay.
what time he'll be speaking.
all right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak to us this evening? Thank you very much. Then, Board, may we have a motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Karen and seconded by Andrea. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We welcome a special guest for a presentation tonight. I'm going to ask Dr. Tom Hall, Brighton High School principal, to do the honors of an introduction and a brief background, if you'd like. Thanks, Tom.
Evening, everybody. This is a fantastic night to be able to hear from our Brighton School Alumni Association reps, Mary Jane Link and Steve Gaudioso from the BSAA. They've done a number of projects over the years for Brighton and have donated tons of money, and every year certainly scholarships they provide to our seniors. This idea of a new digital display case was actually sent to me from Dan Goldman. There was a company in Rochester that started to put these into various schools, and it takes the space that most schools are putting either plaques on walls, and you're starting to run out of wall space, or they put them, here's our Hall of Fame, which is completely full. Really no room to add new plaques and pictures for our Alumni Hall of Fame winners. So Fairport High School was a local school that is doing, or did this, and so I called my principal friend, Bob Clark, over at Fairport and asked him how it was, and they loved it. They actually put in several. And so then I called Steve and I contacted Mary Jane. Hey, is this something that you might be interested in pursuing or looking at? Sent them the information. They jumped right on, and Steve and I actually drove out to Fairport, had a tour of the facility, looked at what they do, and then we ended up having a meeting at school with the vendor and Steve and several other people from the school district to see if we could make it happen. And Steve's going to explain a little bit more about the case and what features it will actually have. But we're very excited that they are willing to support this moving forward in the current display case and changing it over to a digital display board. So, Steve, Mary Jane, if you want.
Thanks very much, Tom. As Tom pointed out, in fact, he's already gone through most of the slides for me, so it'll be fairly brief. We first heard about this through communication that Tom received, and back in April, we went out and visited Fairport High School, and so I'll jump right to that initially, just to give you a sense for what we're talking about, at least from what Fairport has got. As you can see there, this is one of 4 different displays they have. They have one for their Hall of Fame, one for outstanding students, one for dedicated faculty, dedicated to faculty, and one which is general use. The surround that you see, the metallic looking surround, is something that is provided as part of the installation. So when we talk about putting these in the display case, that surround will hide what essentially is back behind the screens. The screen itself is an interactive digital display. We are proposing to put two 55-inch displays, one in each of the display case sides. One will be dedicated for use by BSAA, and the second one will be dedicated for use by the high school. Some of the things that we envision the BSAA using it for, obviously, to solve this problem of the plaques. What's really exciting about it is the plaques are pretty static, and they don't really allow you to convey much information about who the Hall of Fame people are and the reason we're honoring them. With this interactive display, you'll be able to touch screen and bring up an individual. Behind that individual will be their picture, but there will also be a complete bio and the video, which they usually provide to us for display at the Hall of Fame dinner. So you can learn a lot about these individuals, and most of them have made their videos talking about what a Brighton education meant to them in terms of pursuing their career and professional life or other avenues. In addition to that, we'll highlight the scholarship winners. We also hope to be able to provide some additional things that are memorabilia, which we currently have stored in the basement here. It'd be nice to see some of those things displayed and available to students, both past and current. And one of the other unique features that this company offers is to digitize yearbooks and put them into these displays. The yearbooks can be searched by year, by individual names, by sports, by whatever category you would like. There is a cost associated with it, and we'll start out with a modest number of yearbooks. But Tom has made the suggestion that perhaps the classes, as they graduate from now forward, might be willing to subsidize the putting of their yearbook up for display, which we think would be great. As far as BHS is concerned, they want to highlight some of their special clubs. They want to highlight community events, especially service projects that are done in the community, probably a calendar of school events, and in addition, some of the things that are associated with some of the plays and other things that are going on at the school. From the standpoint of how this thing will look when we're done, we'll be sitting down with the designers and giving them input as to what we want to see. I spent a day down at the company. It's a company called Empire Digital Signs, And they showed me a more recent version to the one that you saw there from Fairport that they're doing for Honeoye Falls. And it's just amazing what capabilities exist within this environment. The other thing we will do is we will connect up to the BSAA website, but we'll do it through what's called a white application, meaning that only the website can be accessed. You can't get outside into other areas of the internet. So that's a safeguard that's built in. I should start out by saying that, well, let's go, I guess I've got the scroll here, don't I? Good. So this is basically what we saw at Fairport. We talked about the meeting we had with Fairport and how happy they were with this particular set of units that they purchased. And the subsequent discussions with EDS at the high school, they actually made measurements within the display case that would allow them to then size things appropriately for the application that we talk about. This is the two quotes that they gave us. They separated them out because there are going to be two separate displays. The one for the high school application is approximately $15,000. The one for BSAA is about $18,000. So all totaled, it's a $33,151 cost, both for the display elements itself and the installation. And again, we'll have input into how the design is put together and exactly what we want incorporated in both displays, or I should say each display. We had a meeting back on November 19th of the Brighton Alumni Association Board, and we unanimously approved transferring the $33,151 to the Board of Education for the intent of going forward with this project. I will say there's precedent for us having done this. We did it back in 2014 when we made enhancements to the media center. We transferred money thanks to Lou's help. We got all the items purchased and they were all put into the media center at that point in time. So I guess what we're asking for is the acceptance for this transfer of funds and moving expeditiously. We would like to see if we can get that order placed before the end of the year. But regardless, they've told us that generally speaking, these types of installations usually take between 6 and 8 weeks. Now, obviously, that puts a lot of onus on us to provide materials for them to load up onto the system, but I think we'll be able to do it.
Wonderful.
Any questions, comments?
Well, Steve, I guess my comments, I guess not questions, and others may have, but a couple of things. First of all, the board is extremely appreciative of not only this wonderfully generous gift, but all of the efforts that the Brighton Schools Alumni Association has made over the years. Gifts to Brighton High School, to the district, certainly the Hall of Fame effort is just outstanding. And there's really not another group like yours in a local high school. It's just incredible what you folks have been able to do over the years, so we do appreciate that. I think one of the things that strikes me in attending so many of the Hall of Fame presentations is those videos are outstanding that those individuals make. And then they're gone, right, effectively. I mean, you have access to the websites and things, but having them right there where you can just call them up, I think, is a really nice touch. So it certainly will be a very nice enhancement to all of that. And while the plaques are impressive in their quantity, trying to search out an individual one and really, take stock of it. So I think it's a great idea. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Do we have any other questions, or then Julene has a motion for us.
I would like to move that the board accept the generous gift of $33,151 from the Brighton Schools Alumni Association for the purpose of purchasing and installing 2 interactive touchscreen digital displays and associated equipment to be installed at Brighton High School as outlined in tonight's presentation to the board. And let me just say thank you. This is really cool.
Great.
Yeah.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Karen. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously, we accept and thank you again.
Thank you so much.
We
Thank
really do
you.
appreciate it.
We look forward to it.
We do look forward to seeing that on display. Now, I guess it all falls to Lou, and Tom. And just another thing on the list there, Lou.
Who's got time?
Thank you so much.
He's got nothing else to do.
He's got,
Poor guy.
What facilities improvement?
there you go, part of,
This improves our.
this is more of a facilities enhancement.
Yeah,
It's an
this is
improvement,
fabulous.
right? It's not in that project, though. We want to be clear. This is
Separate.
Separate completely, not involving public dollars, so thank you. I did skip over in my zeal to get to that presentation. A motion, please, for approval of our minutes from the November 12th, 2019 meeting.
Actually, it's the November 27th meeting, if there's an error on the agenda. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
November 26th.
Let's
So-
start again.
Well,
Approval
wait
of
a minute.
minutes.
I saw the minutes from the prior meeting.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
It's November.
It was
The
November
ones that
12th.
are here,
Right, we didn't have a November 27th meeting.
It was November 12th.
we didn't,
Oh, you're right, I'm sorry.
okay.
All right, we're good.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I thought it was the right date when I checked with the minutes I have here, but anyway.
Never mind.
That's
All right,
okay.
so we are, a motion to approve minutes from the November 12th, 2019 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Andrea and seconded by Christina. Does anybody have any corrections, additions, or deletions? Let's hope not. I'm just- All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And a motion, please, for the first reading, policy 5230, non-instructional business operations, acceptance of gifts, grants, and bequests to the school district. Can we have a motion to approve that, and then we'll have discussion?
So moved.
Moved by Julene,
Second?
seconded by Andrea. You will recall, and those that may be watching us at home, either now or on a rebroadcast from the archives, we, earlier in this school year, accepted a gift of a sponsorship to provide reinstatement of ski club, if you will, or to provide sponsorship of ski club. And so we decided also along the way that our current policy on the acceptance of gifts, grants, and bequests to the school district needed amending to cover cases where something like that may occur again around specifically a club or activity in addition to those other things that had previously been specified, along with the ability of a corporate donor to be named as sponsor of one of those events. And so the language that's included in this policy, page 1 and 2 that we have there a little often printed, but cover all of that. And this would be the first read. We'll continue the discussion in the review, and if we have anything further that we want to bring forward, we would bring that forward before a second read, where it would then become policy. Once the policy becomes the policy, however amended it is, then companion regulation to this will be applied by our folks, and then we'll have that in place moving forward. So is there anything further, does anybody see on that right now that we want to capture, or are we good for now? All right then, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we may, Kim, we may need more, I don't know this right now, we may need a little bit more time to make sure that everyone that we want to make sure runs through this. December 17th may be too quick, we'll see. You know,
Okay.
may
Fine.
hold it till January. But-
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. And then our final item of business this evening, a motion, please, for approval of our consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Jolene and seconded by Karen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That is carried. Does anyone have any other items this evening for our shortened meeting? I will make just a very quick note, I promise. I mentioned in the open that Kevin was in New York City today. He did provide testimony between the joint committee meetings for the New York State Senate Education and the Committee also on Budget and Revenue. I want to also make mention and thank you, Claire McLaughlin was also there, one of the executive board members for Fight for Brighton, and Claire also provided testimony, and I watched them on streaming, and they both did an outstanding job. But I especially wanted to thank Claire and the Fight for Brighton group, because first of all, getting on that agenda to speak was a difficult task, and they accomplished it. They have made great inroads in making contacts. Some of those that we have, in addition to what we do as a district, they can do other things as grassroots citizens. So I want to thank her and that group for being able to do that today also. And we continue to try to fight that fight for the appropriate funding for Brighton. So that's, I just wanted to make sure we made mention of that. Then we will see if that's archived at some point. We can go ahead and post that video. Then all things considered, I guess we're finished up. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Julene, seconded by Karen. All in favor?
No, that
Or,
was
I'm sorry,
Christina.
seconded by Christina. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
This has been a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.